Hello, welcome to episode 2 of the Eskapee vlog. I'm Damien Breach and I'm coming to you from our kitchen. Got some nice blackberries here if you want some. Probably shouldn't eat while I'm trying to talk, should I? My wife said I have to eat all these blackberries today. So I'm starting. Put those there. Welcome to Eskapee vlog number 2. I'm your host Damien Breach and welcome to the Eskapee kitchen. We've still got the yellow birds in the background. Those things aren't going to change. This week we're going to cover the Trigger remote mountain bike photography, or at least talk about the Trigger I use. But before we get to it, I want to clarify a couple of points from the previous vlog. Just want to talk about the name Eskapee and clarify. I don't really care how it's said, and I don't actually even know how it's said myself. But the easiest way for me to work out why people will say things differently is you remove the vowels from the Eskapee word and you're left with 3 letters. S-K-P. So if you say it how I did, S-K-P is one way to do it. Or the way that I sort of say it, I hang on the S, so Eskapee. And also change the K a little bit. But if there's any linguists out there who know how to say it, it's just a bastardization of the actual word Eskapee for someone who has escaped. The next point I wanted to clarify is in relation to free content. Yeah, I personally aren't comfortable with it, but the same way is that if somebody wants to give Eskapee free content, then obviously I'm going to let it happen. But it's still something I'm not comfortable with because I'm a content producer and I know how much work and effort it takes into producing content. So I will still accept it, but it's just something I'm not comfortable with and something I really don't want to aspire to. I don't want to be this platform that eventually runs on nothing but free content because, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. And the last point, just looking at my notes over here, since we've had our last vlog, we've actually launched Disposable Heroes. Last time I was just talking about the fact that I've seen them. Now we've actually had 4 launch live on the website. So they're loading onto Eskapee every 3 days, live on the web. And so far I'm super impressed. There's been one from Matt Holmes in Sydney, Australia, where he actually put a gel over his camera. Launched one today from Tristan Tin, who's somewhere in the Scottish Highlands, and the photos he got were unbelievable. Our first one from Katie, she's from Jackson in Wyoming in the US. Hers was just about a band of sisters getting together and they call themselves Bad Barbaras. And there was one from Jay French from New Zealand who was all the way over at Whistler, and he wanted to document his journey and use it kind of as a diary. And so far I found them actually really, really interesting, and kind of just makes me realize that maybe what I'm doing with my photography needs to change a little bit. And I'm known for spraying and praying, and I was just away a couple of weekends ago doing a photo shoot and I shot about 5,000 photos. So maybe I need to think about it myself a little bit differently. But if you haven't checked it out for yourself, get onto eskapee.com and have a look for all the Disposable Hero stories. We've still got 6 more to publish, so every 3 days they're popping up online. And at the end of it, there's going to be a panel of judges to judge which is the best. And our partners with Disposable Heroes, Santa Cruz, are going to give away a free set of carbon wheels to the overall challenge winner. And already people are saying, what about next year? Or are we going to do another one? And yeah, for sure. I really want to do another one. I have to think about the logistics a little bit to make it maybe a bit more environmentally friendly. Yeah, welcome back. I screwed this up yesterday, so I have to do it again today. So apologies for the change of outfit and the change of scenery for messing up with you. But I wanted to cover something that people have asked me a lot of questions about, and it's my remote photography. More particular, people have asked me about my remote trigger, what the trigger is and how I use it in more details. I'm going to cover 2 things today, what I currently use and what I plan to do in the future, because I'm looking to change it. First up, this is my current trigger. Pretty rudimentary. Basically, it's an old RockShox lockout lever mount thing. I think it's from about 1923 anyway. And it's just basically a bastardization of the lever and this on-off switch connected to a mono cable. That sits on my handlebar next to the grip and connects to a pocket wizard. Which was on. And that pocket wizard at the other end is connected to a camera. So, I ran out of battery, just had to redo it again. So this pocket wizard is attached to my bicycle, connected to this trigger which is on my handlebars. And then at the receive end, we have another pocket wizard connected to the camera through a special cable. And the cable is going to be different for a lot of cameras. Basically, what I do is I press the button, camera goes off. So basically, the reason I do it this way as a motor drive with an on-off switch is so when the trigger is on my handlebars, I come right into the scene. Imagine this is on my bars, hit the trigger, ride, jumps, all this sort of stuff, you know how it is. And then I finish it, then I turn it off. So that way I'm not having to hunt for my thumb while I'm trying to do whatever I'm trying to do. So simplistically, that's how I do it. And that's going to be different for every single person. But the main point of my video was this switch and an on-off switch. So you can run your camera at motor drive or whatever it might be the fastest possible. However, I've got some issues at the moment and I'm looking to change that. So I'm actually going to make a video next few weeks about my new trigger. And there's two reasons why I want to make a new trigger. One, that's getting old. And these pocket wizards are getting pretty old and flaky. They're probably at least 12 years old and they have been through hell. So I recently picked up some new pocket wizards and they don't give that audible beep that you heard with the other ones when it was on. So there's no actual return loop that I know. With the previous one, I'd actually hear that little beep as I'm riding along from the pocket wizard and I knew it was on. But these new ones don't. And this switch was sometimes a bit of a, you get a false positive, false negative, positive and false, whatever it might be. I didn't actually know if it was on or not with these new ones. So, and there was another reason. I used to run a giant dropper post, which actually was at the top, on the top of the handlebar. So that meant I could put my remote trigger underneath the handlebar. Now I've got a one-up dropper, and it is kind of in the same place, or the lever for the dropper is in the same place that I want to put the trigger. So I'm having to redesign what I'm doing. And this isn't an exact science. You can't buy this stuff off the shelf. So what you have to do is work out what's going to work for you. So looking at the two issues that I have, I went to my local electronics store and got a whole bunch of little gadgets. And what I was looking for is a different type of switch where I could get a better tactile feel and I knew it was on or off. So I found a few different types of switches to play around with. These are only cheap. Found this really good one, which is already waterproofed and sealed. It has cables and so forth, really handy. And also got this off a friend who's making his own trigger, and hopefully in a couple of weeks when I redo the video, he's got his trigger already. But this is using a SRAM, I guess it's a seat post mount clamp or a brake mount clamp, and looking to fashion something with this. We've also got some plastic, some modeling plastic that you heat up, mold into shape and then it hardens. And then some other clamps and housings and so forth. And what I have to do is just try and work out how I'm going to be able to put the trigger in a position that's going to be best for me. And this is the most important thing, which is best for me or the best for you. The way I hold my handlebars is quite wide. My hands are actually off the edge of my handlebars. And it means my thumb is actually a long way from all my controls. And that means that I run my brake right up next to my grip. It's not inside the handlebar here, it's right up jammed next to my grip. So I actually have not much room to do this. Also, the old trigger meant I had to take my grips off every single time I wanted to put this trigger on. And that was a pain. So I'm looking for a solution where I don't have to take my grips off. So it will possibly be a mount that's on the grip or something that's off the grip that I can then put away from my controls but has some adjustability. Again, it's not exact science, and if there's any engineering students out there who love CAD and have a 3D printer, get in touch with me, because maybe we could work together to come up with something. But in the next video, by the time I make the next video, I would have made a trigger. But the key ingredients again are: find some switch that works for you. Find the right cable that works for your remote trigger. In this case, with the Pocket Wizards, as a mono cable that's then soldered to these, contact points on a switch and goes on or off. And then just find out what works for you. It's all trial and error. There's not an exact thing. But I'm thinking these SRAM little posts, these SRAM, I don't know what you right word for these are. I think this might be the go-to thing for me to make what I want to make. So there'll be another video dropping, and by that stage I'll have a new trigger. I would have tested it, and hopefully it works out all fine.